Some fathers want to watch their daughters financially struggle. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist. I've been counseling women and men for several years now. I want to respond to this commenter who says, my father made me run through hoops before he could give me money to buy personal things that I needed as a teenager, and at the same time adamantly refused for me to get a part-time job to pay for my own. This is definitely, it sounds to me like and I don't know you and I don't know your dad, but there are fathers out there who are very misogynistic to women and girls. So they absolutely hate the idea of women and girls, and they're very mean, they're very arbitrary, and they want to watch their daughters or the women in their life struggle or grovel, when it comes to money and resources, and they totally get a power kick out of it. It can certainly be an issue where this person wants to maintain control and pull the strings of the women in his life. And so he wants to feel needed, but at the same time, he feels very resentful of you being needed or asking him for something. He's invested in watching you suffer, but he's not willing to pick up a finger to stop the suffering from you. And that is a very common trait of a narcissistic father, where they want you to run through hoops. They want you to beg and beg and beg for the breadcrumbs, any morsel of love, any morsel of support and validation. Meanwhile, they're not giving you a damn thing. And they know exactly what they're doing. This isn't somebody who's like clueless and they don't understand or avoidantly attached. People like this. This is not that. This is someone who is very emotionally invested in suffering and does not care. But at the same time, when they come down to the end of their days, these are the same people that are going to be looking for you to be their nurse or their power of attorney and take care of and clean up their affairs for them. This is someone who has objectified women, and they only want to deal with women and girls who are of service to them and for nothing else. But there is an investment in their suffering. And a lot of times, again, men like this, and I said it before, they have a mother wound. And so they grew up watching, their mother suffer, or they grew up watching their sister suffer and things like this. And let me tell you something else, that could happen. Even if there's multiple children in the family, multiple daughters in the family, all of you all aren't necessarily treated the same by this father. There are some of you that he may support or give a little bit more money or a little bit more freedom than others, and others of you in which he will completely devalue and watch struggle. And that can definitely be the golden child scapegoat dynamic. That could definitely play into the colorism dynamic. And it could just play into him being an asshole depending on how he's feeling for the day. And he just wants to play some Jedi psychological mind tricks on everybody in the home and basically hold everybody in the house emotionally hostage. Essentially, this man is one who sees himself as God, who's got an anger issue. He, probably weaponizes incompetence and also sort of feigns like he doesn't know any better. And as many of you pointed out, he's probably also the same person that says, lines go both ways. Why haven't you called me? Why haven't you come to visit me? He expects to sit there and be served, but he wants to give very little in return. He wants you to bow down and kiss his feet because he feels very much like God. And there's nothing that you can do about this dynamic. And the reason that there's nothing that you could do about this dynamic except get what you can and get on out of there as soon as you're able. The reason you can't do anything is because he's not emotionally mature. He doesn't see himself as having a problem. He doesn't know how to talk to you. He knows how to talk at you. And there's a good chance that if you were to come to him and tell him what this problem was and how you were feeling about it, he's going to get mad at you for having feelings. He's going to get really pissed at you if you start crying and really become emotional, because that's really going to set off some things. And at the same time, he's still not going to respect you. And I learned this when I got older, you know, and I'm gonna say it, and I don't mean any disrespect to you or anybody else that's watching. I really do believe that parents, fathers, mothers, parents that want to watch their children financially struggle, and just, you know, especially when they have the means to help their children, or especially when they're doing this BS where they're giving money and resources to everybody but their children and their family. I believe that parents who do that, they hate their children. They don't like their children. They could care less about their children. And I think the best thing that you can do, or anybody that's going through that, is you get the hell on away from them the first chance that you're able to do it. Stop trying to make it work. Stop trying to have a relationship. Let go of the anger and resentment when you can, if you can, and if you want to, and if you're able to get to that place, and just move on with your life. And if you decide to have your children, make sure you grow from your experience with your own father, and that you're not repeating that cycle. But I don't think that they like their children. I don't think that their children are of use to them. I think these are the same types of people that would scam their children if and when the opportunity arises, because they only want what they want when they want it, when you're of use to them. So there's no real connection. So this is a person that will, you know, they don't care about you, and you're just collateral damage. So if they need to get over on you to get their needs met, then so be it. This is cruelty at its finest. And it reminds me, and although we're talking about fathers, but, you know, a very similar dynamic was portrayed in the movie Flowers in the Attic. If I'm talking about the 1984 Flowers, I'm talking about the real deal Flowers in the Attic, where Corinne decided, hey, I'm going to do me. I don't have time for these kids right now. I got to go back home. I got to live my life. My parents are wealthy. You know, my husband, was it her brother husband or her uncle husband, whatever it was, she said, I know my parents are going to be mad at me. She went back home. She took those lashings from her parents, and then she locked her kids away from the attic and began to poison them, and said, I'm going to do me. You know, I gotta go on about my life. I don't care about their suffering. It's about me. And she would visit them occasionally when she got ready, and we all dolled up, and she went on and got married and had another child and did all this and that, the other thing. She started a new family, and she was like, you know, my children are an afterthought, and they're up there starving, eating rat poison and all kinds of stuff. You know, full disclaimer there, or trigger warning there is what I meant to say. They're up there starving and all that kind of stuff, and she's living her life. She does not care, not one bit. This is very similar to that. They're living their life, but they're invested in watching you struggle, because there was a part of Corinne that got off on that, coming up every now and then, seeing her children gaunt, pale, gray in color, dying. You know, her son got carried out, buried in the backyard or wherever. You know, it's crazy. But it's very similar to the Flowers in the Attic dynamic. So move on with your life, and, you know, go to therapy, do your healing from that. But, you know, that's a mean, mean man there. Don't try to make it about you. That would be my advice. Don't take on the emotional labor. What was it about me that he didn't care about? This is who he is. Even if there were other children that he may have treated better than you, it's just a psychological mind trick. because at the end of the day, he doesn't care about them either. I hope that helps. Thanks so much for this. This is very important. Be sure to subscribe to my newsletter, my podcast. Both are linked in my bio. Let's make sure to keep up with each other, because TikTok is changing in a day, and I don't know what's going to happen to the algorithm. Thanks so much.